morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scousers Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser on a Wednesday morning. I'm back to being the number one greatest dad. Number two is out in Texas somewhere. But John is here. What's happening?
Yeah, like I told you earlier, this head hurts. I managed to get something yesterday to kind of numb the pain, and I kind of regret it now. I had to do some work earlier this morning, and let's say I didn't do it to my 100% capacity. And like I was telling you, Tim, it's been weird. It's been a while since we lost in such. I mean, you kind of mentioned it. It wasn't but it wasn't something that would really bum you out, and good for you then, but it bummed me out, man. It's been a while since we lost, and losing the way we did at Anfield and in front of those fans when incredibly winnable game would just really kind of set me in a certain mood. Right now, I'm a bit better though. The coffee really helps.
Was the game really at Anfield? Like, it didn't even feel like it. It didn't even sound like it. Like,
I couldn't notice. Yeah, I didn't really notice the crowd because I was in a crowd, right? I was mostly in a pub, so obviously it was quite loud. Yeah, but then from what I've been seeing on social media, it wasn't the best. It was certainly not vintage Klopp Liverpool atmosphere. that's what I'm hearing.
And honestly, I mean, we'll get to the game. Because we didn't end up being able to do a post match since the game ended like midnight or something. But it's, I don't know. It sucked. The penalty kicks makes it worse in some ways. But honestly, like, I was kind of like bummed out, but not like depressed. I get more pissed off and semi-depressed when I see some of these like fans online that I just don't get people. I've stopped understanding people. So it's just really like pisses me off. The agendas come out. It's like, just go away and hide somewhere, or don't ever come out. Like, people all over the place.
Don't go away, hide somewhere, don't come out, but please subscribe.
Yeah, please like and subscribe. And just freaking listen to me, because I don't know, man. It wasn't like if we got eliminated after the first game, I think I would be a lot more bummed out. And I would be a lot more disappointed and maybe semi-angry if that was the game we got. Like, in terms of gameplay wise, if that was the game, I would be like annoyed, because I'd be like, we're a lot better than this. We didn't play how we wanted and stuff like that. This one, I don't know, like, Slot kind of rolled the dice. Really, we played more like, I thought the club came in. I even put it on Discord. Like, I was like, did he come back early for the parade or something and managing the team today? Because we really played like a club era where it was pressing too high, not pressing well enough at times, which put the back line, everybody was like harping on the midfield, and really they were bypassing the midfield when they were getting out of the press and stuff like that. But it was very onslaught-like. But in the first 10 minutes, you get two very clear-cut chances. If one of those go in, everybody is like happy. But now, there's literally, like, there was a dude. I mean, thank God people are just like shitting on him, as they should. I shit on him as well. Asking for Slot to be fired and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, I mean, this is the kind of, I mean, we make fun of the Arsenal fan base. I have to tell you guys, we're not that far off. We are not that far off.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the comments I see, some of the agendas I see out there are ridiculous.
The dregs of social media calling for the most harebrained, things, kind of like, oh, Salah really doesn't. The rival fans were right. Salah doesn't deliver on big games, even though he has like carried us all season and stuff like that. But I think a measured take here, Tim, and obviously this is primarily going to be about the game right throughout this morning. I remember speaking to Gordo a few weeks ago, and it was just the two of us. We have 6 attackers, and people are going like, oh, Liverpool's much vaunted attack. But this game kind of showed that our attack this year, bar Salah and Gakpo, are kind of overrated, right? If those two don't have a good game, like if Salah doesn't have a good game, Gakpo's injured, the other two don't do shit. Like, literally, this is a big game where, Jota, Diaz out of form. You got to step up. Your main guy is not doing so well. Mo Salah has been shackled by the opposing left back. If there was a game to step up, I don't know. I'm just really disappointed, particularly in Jota, Because I feel like
Yeah, Jota I buy, but I don't buy the anybody else thing because I thought Diaz. First of all, he's been great. He was great against Southampton as well, and you could tell I was actually really disappointed in Gakpo yesterday. I know you're talking more general,
well,
but in general, I think we have struggled in the middle, and I
to be
understand
fair to
that
Gakpo,
that's out
Tim,
of form. But go ahead.
yeah, he didn't get service. We had no control during the minutes he came in. Like our midfield was non-existent. We were just hoofing the ball up to Nunez or him, waiting for a knockdown. And whenever that happens, PSG get the ball and then get like 8 minutes
I look
consecutive.
more at like off the ball. What are you doing for me?
Fair
And he
enough.
didn't do it. Was like the Gakpo that would come in, and we were like, well, these Dutch, the mannerism and stuff. But no, like the efforts defensively, especially. And that's why we really struggled in overtime. I was trying to find that quote. I thought Fabrizio tweeted it out,
It's
but
because Gakpo has only had one session under his belt, though.
yeah, I mean, that was part of it, I guess, but we really struggled in overtime mainly because when we put in the subs it could not just get
Going.
yeah, they could not get going. They could not match the intensity of the game. Like
Mm.
they just did not get to the intensity of the game. Whereas the subs they made, they just, they kept going. You couldn't even tell that guy came on as a sub. Whereas with us, it was very clear who the subs were. And apart from Kwanzaa, I don't think any of the subs did anything. And this is another one that I want. I mean, Gravenberg had a really poor game, always behind the action kind of a thing. I almost felt like it was a little too fast for him. I am kind of getting sick of these guys are tired thing because I mean nobody said these guys look so tired when we beat City.
Mm.
Nobody said these guys look tired. Who did we beat after that?
Yeah.
After the City game, back to back.
Yeah. And listen, I'm the biggest Gravenberg guy, but he hasn't looked as good as he did sort of prior to the turn of the year. Like since it became 2025, he's had good games, but he also had like quite a few mid games and quite a few stinkers actually. So this I feel like this is where having another midfielder that Slot 100% trusts would help, and another midfielder with a different profile, right? Because like I feel there are some games where he can get bullied off the ball, or he can look tired. So if we have like a Fabinho, Henderson, or Wijnaldum kind of midfielder, which we don't have, we have Endo, but then Endo's not as good on the ball, and Slot doesn't trust him. So if we have someone who's decent on the ball with a physical profile to kind of switch out for Gravenberg in games where he's looking like he's bullied, that would be ideal.
Well, actually, we will get to that, but we got to do this. This is, and like that's what I'm trying out, and this is like Sir Z, the man of ones and first over here. That is our very first super chat because we didn't have it even enabled, but hey, there you go. So when you put it on super chats, it's guaranteed to be on the screen over here. But yeah, we miss Manes. John, otherwise known as Saidu. Yes.
Are you freaking kidding me, Sir Z? Come on.
Effect. So maybe Saidu was drunk half the time. But I think that was the intro. I was going to talk to Gally about that, and now the conversation totally changes, mind you. But on Monday's podcast, that was one of the questions I had scribbled down to kind of like talk about. We never got to it because the conversation flew into like something else. But like these recent games we're talking about, because I agree with you that you need players like you need an Endo, but the one that fits the system kind of a thing and all that. But I was going to say almost on Monday, I was going to ask Gally that, when we put in Elliott, when we put in Endo and stuff like that in recent weeks, because they are different, they were almost like changing the game a little bit, right? Like what Endo was doing and like what Elliott was doing and stuff like that. So I was like, is it almost good to keep people like this in the squad as well, who are different, to change the game? But then I think in a game like this, where you didn't necessarily need to change the game, You just needed more of the same and fresher.
Yeah.
You're not able to do it because the profile you're changing. It's good for a guy like Slot who does like really, really good with subs and changes the game a little bit around to have different profiles on there. But I think in a game like this where you just needed the same thing, more of it,
Right.
fresher legs, it hurts because you take Szoboszlai out and you put Elliott's in, and it's not the same thing.
Yeah, and it's I get what you mean. Like a player that would sort of push Plan A more, which is what we need.
Like continue because they were able to sub and just keep playing exactly how they were playing. When we subbed in, and I realized, like the end of substitution is more by force, and he didn't play where we would probably want him to play and all that kind of stuff. But like when you put Elliott's in and stuff like that, the game like kind of changes. I think you can go ahead and do that up top. You can take a Diaz out. You can put a Gakpo in and give the right back who's used to defending Diaz now defending a total different guy. He's like, oh shit, this guy cuts inside and does this, blah, blah, blah. I think you can do that up top. But I think especially in midfield, if you want more of the same, the guys have to be a bit more similar in terms of what they do. You could see, I mean, we've been talking about this, games like this, it shows how important like McAllister and Szoboszlai and Gravenberg, I mean, these guys are great, but I mean, they were not going to play 120 minutes, not in a fast-paced game like this, not in the way they were going to play. And that's why I was kind of shocked that we went out so gung-ho and like, pressing like crazy and stuff like that, knowing this could end up being a 120 minutes game. And I mean, we were even talking in the pre-match and, like I asked Serzi and he was like, no, I don't think so. We'll start controlled. And I agreed. We all thought we would start a bit more controlled. Like I say, Slot can come back and say, hey, we went at him. And if we scored those chances, they were done and dusted because they were going to be like, oh shit, we're not going to score 4. Mm-hmm. And obviously they can't. But I didn't understand that thinking behind running the guys out way too early, knowing, like you're saying, there's nobody on the bench that can come in and do the same thing.
We played into the media hype, I feel. Anfield coming in, this is a fortress and all that. Like, we can go toe-to-toe with these guys. We were criticized a lot for how we performed during the first leg. Oh, Liverpool were too defensive. They were too cowardly. So I feel like we kind of bought into like, now we can play with these guys. And the problem is
part of it. And we did. I mean, if you look at it.
Yeah, we did. We did, to be fair.
We
did, to be fair. But then running a Klopp-like system, suddenly, we're all year, right? You've been relying on a system that's more controlled with minimal rotation, right? It's like a shock to the system, right? Which is why, Gravenberg couldn't run. You had to bring out McAllister, the yellow, and Szoboszlai at the end looked gassed as hell, and even some of the attackers and the defenders looked like so. Yeah, the thing is, it's as gutting as that loss was, excluding the penalties, it still was a game of fine margins, like you mentioned. Salah buries those 2 chances. Kwanzaa buries that off the post header. We're having a different conversation this morning. So, yeah, listen. Obviously, yesterday, watching it after the emotions are raw and everything, but putting everything into perspective, I agree with your take at the Discord chat. We did play well enough to get something out of this in advance. It's just the fine margins didn't go our way, which is. Sometimes
it happens. You don't win every goddamn game. I mean, it's like the entitlement to win every game from the fans is amazing. And then when it doesn't, just going around I mean, I would hate to freaking work with some of these people because God knows how much backstabbing they do in real life. Because the moment things go south, they go around and like try to find. And that's the thing. I mean, I'm not the biggest Nunez fan. And I thought he was poor again yesterday. He was more the regular Nunez in most cases. But, I mean, people who go after penalty missers are like the scum of the earth. I think I can easily say over here. They did it in England. All those racist assholes came out when Saka missed and stuff like that. Anybody who goes after a player for a penalty miss after overtime is just scum of the earth. Like, you don't deserve this team is the way I look at it. But Serzi says no basis for that, but I think Chiesa could have brought something different to the game. What do you guys think? And I'll ask you first. What do you think?
at that point, I felt like we had nothing to lose anyway. And he brought in Gakpo in one session. How many sessions has Keita had it? More than a few. He's lacking game time. Yeah, I get it. Like, I understand why Slot didn't bring him in, but then if he was to be brought in, probably Salah's gone, right? And I feel like him being our lone penalty regular
Yeah.
was the reason why Slot kept them in. Like, I understand the reasoning why Chiesa should be brought in. I understand the reasoning why he was not brought in. But then at the same time, Slot is a manager that's like instilled in his ways, kind of a deal, where he didn't want to bring out Gravenberg when he could barely run. Right? What makes you think he's going to bring in Chiesa? Or what makes you think, or he doesn't rotate?
Chiesa, we're just like, I mean, Alan says should have had minutes yesterday too. I guess my question is why? Like, what have we seen from Chiesa that everybody is like, oh, you should have played? Like, we haven't even seen much of him.
And I'm 50-50 on it for the record. I'm 50-50 on it for the record.
I mean, I think it's one of those where you're looking at the bench, we're like, who's left? Or maybe he should have come in. Like, you could put anybody in there, and they'd be like, if I was sitting in there, you'd be like, you should have gotten some minutes in there, is what we're doing at this point. Because you look at the guys that came in who play regularly, like Elliott and Gakpo. I know he's coming back from injury, but, he was only gone like a week and a half. It's not like he's been out for months or whatever. They could not get to the pace and the intensity of the game. So what makes us think that Chiesa, who's only played twice in the last 4 months or whatever, would come in and be up to the pace of the game? You at that point, you're just like trying things, and I don't think we were in a stage where we were trying things. So I mean,
it's
penalties
tough.
will be missed. I just don't understand the.
It's more of, I think, like, we lost, so we're looking at what we could have done, kind of thing. So
yeah, I mean, this dude has been great subbing all year round, right? And sometimes it just doesn't work. But I can't think of, that's the only like guy, right? Like, left on the bench. That's why everybody's like, I think saying like, well, maybe if Chiesa came in, like, what was he gonna do? Like, did we really struggle up top? Not really. We struggled more in midfield. Can Chiesa come in and do Soboslai's job? I
don't think so.
3 months ago, that was the hope. That was my hope when I saw him play. And I mean, you could argue, then why did we buy him? And I guess we'll find out the answer to that this summer, if he keeps staying or not. Because I mean, this is not, in the beginning of the season, it was more about, match fitness and stuff like that. I mean, it can't be that now. There has to be something else. Something is not happening at practice, or he's not. But then again, he's in the squad, so, or maybe he has to be in the squad because he's healthy and stuff like that. But no, I don't think, like, Chiesa is going to change the game. We're literally looking, like you said, like, what else could have been done? Like, we could have done this. Oh, we could have put Keller in for penalties. I'm amazed nobody has said that, by the way.
Right, same.
I was waiting for that all over social media. It's like, we should have subbed out Alley and stuff like that. So, I don't know. This is kind of like the Monday morning quarterback thing now, where everybody's kind of like looking at it and trying to find things that we have not done, and we're trying to change that. But I don't know. I find it hard to. I thought the 90 minutes was well played, especially the second half.
Yeah, second half was more of
chances. We had more set pieces or not. We were creating chances, and near misses, the post. He had a couple of really good saves. Freaking Mendes clearances against Mo in the first half, and I think against I can't remember who the second one is. That ball is going in. I think it's Mo again. I can't remember who it is on
off the corner, right?
Off the corner, yeah.
I think it's Kvaratskhelia who was on the line and cleared it when it was goal bound. Was it?
Was that him clearing it on that one?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, like those clearances and stuff like that. I think that was, that was well played. It ran out of legs, and I think that's when you put in the subs and they just can't do the same thing. I mean, Jones was way off. Elliott was way off than normal. I just don't think they were up. And I'm not saying these are bad players. I think they were not ready to come into a game at that pace, because it was a ridiculous class. We got lost in it as fans, but I think overall we were like, hey, what the hell? because some of the midfield dropped and stuff like that. But it was like a crazy game. Let's see, get the couple of comments. Nunez, Chiesa, Diaz, and Elliott would be gone this summer.
I agree with 2 out of 4. I think we should still keep Elliott. Chiesa hasn't had a full preseason and like a decent amount of time to kind of
People
put
are very
his.
easy to get rid of Diaz. I don't understand why. I wish I had.
I don't know, Tim. I like Diaz. I like the effort he brings, but then at the same time, it's sort of like the Nunez argument to a lesser extent. Like we need more from him in the end product. Like he scored
Dude,
what?
I would not even use them in the same sentence.
Sorry.
I would not even use them in the same sentence in terms of what they bring. Nunez and Diaz.
I guess, but then there's a reason why it's. How do I say it? Like again, I like him, but then at the same time, you got to score, man. Like you gotta have more than what is it? 3 goals since the turn of the year. 2 goals since the turn of the year. That's not Liverpool left winger standard, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you look at this Southampton game, for example. It's all him.
It's all him. But
yesterday is all him. Everything came from the left. I think Morgan passed Mendes once early in the game, like 5 minutes in. And I was like, okay. So now he's going to, because he was kind of in his pockets in Paris as well. But then, everything came from the left. Every danger came from the left. But somehow we want something else over there. I think what we want is, like, who's going to play there? Like, who do we want there that's going to give you end product as well? I mean, I don't agree with it. First of all, that he has 0 end result. Can he have better end results? Yes. But does he have 0 end result? That's just I think, not to mention he's on really low wages. So I would want to keep a guy like that around, because I want a guy like Diaz coming off the bench and stuff like that, even if he's not starting. And not to mention, we played this guy out of position half the year because Jota was injured or not in form, and Nunez is Nunez. So I find it extremely unfair that people are just like harping on Diaz, who has been the really rare bright spots up top, like you were talking about earlier.
Gakpo.
No, recently. Like, I mean, when Gakpo was out,
right,
who stepped up?
No, I get you, but then at the same time, is this the best we can do? Like, I feel like we can upgrade on that too. Like and you mentioned all his good qualities. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good when it works. But then at the same time, there were games where you feel like could have been a bit more there, could have been a bit more here, a little bit more there.
Yeah, but you could say that about Mo yesterday. Then let's start Mo.
Yeah, but
Mo too. He missed those first 2. If he puts that in the ball.
Yeah, but then Mo has 27 goals in the Premier League.
I understand that, but I feel like, we're like, that's what I mean. Like, we take certain guys and say he should have done this, he should have done that, even though they're the only ones actually doing something. Like, Diaz was the only guy who was a threat yesterday. That was the only guy who put fear in them yesterday.
Was he?
I don't know. You tell me, who did what up top? Did Jota do much? No.
Jota didn't do much. I'm not saying Diaz didn't do anything. It's just he didn't do enough for me.
So who did enough?
No one did. We lost.
I understand that, but I mean, still, like, okay, that's because I don't know. I don't agree with that. I mean, he, first of all, off the ball. That's why it started sucking. We were talking about this, and everybody was like, oh, like Gakpo and stuff. And I'm like, dude, I don't know, because there is a reason why Hakimi was not pushing up when Diaz was there, because people are terrified of him because of his speed and because of his work rate. He's going to track back with you, and a lot of wingers do not track back. So the moment Diaz came out, Hakimi was all over the goddamn place, because Gakpo did not track back with him, and he had no fear of Gakpo running behind him. So he was like out there overall. I don't know. I just feel like everybody's ridiculously harsh on Diaz. Do I like his end product? No, probably could be a lot better. I think it has gotten a lot better this season compared to like last season, for example. I mean, in the beginning of the season, he was the one scoring all the goals. The first 5-6 weeks, because we were like, holy cow, like finally we're getting the Diaz with the M product and stuff like that. I think on your left wing, and here's another thing. So you guys are selling Diaz. You're selling Diaz, but you're keeping Chiesa? I don't understand that, for example.
Yeah, I'm keeping Chiesa because he hasn't had a season to prove anything. Like he's had
He's
like
been
what
here all year.
Sorry?
He's been here all year.
Well, Slot doesn't use him. I feel like Slot's like...
There's probably a reason for that, is my guess. It can't be shape anymore. Jesus Christ, I would have been in shape by now. It's like starting points being very different than Chiesa. It can't be a game shape. There has to be another reason.
Listen, okay, I think there can be a happy medium here. I feel like if we can't find anyone who's an upgrade over Diaz, we keep him. If we can find someone who's like inferior to him but is younger and has a higher ceiling, I would be going for him all day, because I see Gakpo as our starting left winger. We can have that hypothetical player that I mentioned as the understudy, because I feel like Diaz, this is who he is. He has reached his ceiling. He's what, 27, 28? That's like the player's prime.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like he's around that age. Yeah, he's reached his prime. I feel like this is the player that we're getting. What we see is what we get. And listen, like I said, man, it looks like I'm being overly harsh on him, but I like him. I like the guy. But then at the same time, we're a big club, Liverpool standard. We need like a player who can be. And again, you mentioned he has been reliable all throughout, especially early on. But I just am disappointed in the lack of stepping up in Mo Salah's, like in games where Salah struggled. We really looked like we need that other go-to guy, if that makes sense. We need that man. To be Cersei, we need that Mane, right?
But that's not how we're playing anymore. I mean, that's another. I think this is exactly dead on over here, because we don't have any guy in the middle doing anything. We've totally given up on the middle. We're harping on the guy on the left. So nothing is coming from the middle. We've almost like accepted that at this point. I think that's the problem. We've kind of accepted
there are
that
goals
nothing coming from the middle. So we're like, why isn't this guy scoring?
There are goals coming from the left, though. When Gakpo's been starting, he's been scoring.
Yeah, I mean, Gakpo has been like effective on that, but then Gakpo doesn't give you the defensive work rates as much. I think when he comes off the bench, Gakpo just can't get into the pace.
We have a better record with we have a better record with Gakpo starting though on that left wing.
Okay, who plays in the middle when that happens?
We get someone in the middle.
No, right? Who has played in the middle when we were doing really well and Gakpo had all that time and space on the left?
Oh, yeah, Diaz.
It's been Diaz in the middle.
Okay, yeah, but then the issue isn't the middle. The issue is the
Diaz in the middle, because Gakpo couldn't do it in the middle.
Right, yeah, because Gakpo's a left winger.
So is Diaz.
Yeah, but we could get someone who's better than Diaz, Tim. I'm saying
we can get someone better than, I mean, a lot of players, but you're not going to have the best of best on everything, and you can't sell. I mean, this is what I don't understand. If we're selling half the team, forget next season. If you guys are selling half the team,
well, I'm not selling half the team. We're talking about Diaz, man.
Forget next season, because then everything is gonna. You can't sell 4 out of the 6 guys up top, or change 4 out of the 6 guys, because you can count Case as a new guy next year, because really he hasn't played, and then expect him to gel and do well next season. I think that's something to be. It has to be something gradual. You can say down the road. But I feel like if you're selling all these guys in the summer and you think we're going to change, 80% of your attacking force and expect them to gel next year, I don't think that's happening. I think what we were fearing would happen this season will happen next season if we do that many freaking changes. Because mind you, we're not even sure Mo is coming back. We're assuming.
Yeah, like I feel like, okay, Nunez is gone. That's a certainty. And I feel like if, again, there's a happy medium here. And again, I like Diaz before anyone gets on my ass. I like Diaz. But then if we can find someone who's younger, who has a higher ceiling, or someone who's of equal skill, equal age, or maybe 1 year younger, who's slightly better than him, I feel like we should pull the trigger there. That's just my opinion.
Right? Okay. Jota, is he staying?
I want him gone as well. I like Jota.
So possibly if Mo doesn't come back, you just hung on to Gakpo up top.
I feel like, listen, if Nunez goes, Jota stays, right? If Nunez goes, Jota stays.
I think Nunez is gone.
Nunez is gone. So, but then you're asking if it were up to me, I would, if a good offer comes for Jota, someone bites for 40, 45, he's gone. I'll drive him to the airport myself, right? if a good offer comes in, I'd sell him because someone mentioned in the Discord, if he's not scoring, what's he doing? He has no hold up play, no distribution. Jota, right? He has no hold. He has had no hold up play since he came back from injury. He can't distribute.
He came back from injury. Normally, I think he's a lot better at
right. For example, but then it's been months though, Tim, since he came back from injury. He's had time to acclimatize. I believe so. Yeah, it's been like a month and a half or so.
He's been poor ever since he came back from injury. Yeah. That's a definite. I'll definitely second that motion. Yeah. Would Diaz get in any Real Madrid team? I'm not. What are we doing here? Like, I really don't understand, Alan. Like, I don't know. Okay, would Gakpo get in Real Madrid team? Let's
probably as a sub.
Get in there? Nope.
Probably as a sub.
Let's not the whole team. Whoever doesn't get in the Real Madrid side, let's get rid of him. I don't understand. Gakpo is not getting in the Real Madrid team. Gakpo is not starting over Vinicius. Probably I think we're setting the bar really high over there for players now. It's just I don't know. I just don't get it. We're one game and everybody's gone. It's just I just don't get it. I'm kind of lost with this, to be honest with you. Like, Diaz has been getting this for a while. I never understood it. We played the guy out of position. I mean, Barcelona wanted him. I guarantee you he will fetch, like, if we put him up for sale, he will go somewhere and bring good money. Because he's 28. I mean, so is Jota, I guess. I actually thought Jota was older than Jota plays older.
You can barely. I think it was you who mentioned in the Discord yesterday, where like Jota's sprint is Hakimi's just like walk.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Like, you can just like jog next to him. Yeah, I mean, we could have gotten him, I guess. But I mean, the left wing is not where you have a problem. I think the middle is where you have a problem. And I guarantee you, going back to what Trevor was saying earlier, you have somebody in the middle that dictates some fear, and that helps the winger on the left. We're not playing the same way we were when Bobby was here, where we didn't expect Bobby to score. We expect him to facilitate. This is not the same team anymore. So why are we we're the only team probably like harping on their winger for not getting enough goals only because the guys in the middle are not doing anything? I just find that so extremely unfair. Not to mention, we played this guy out of position for months because the guys in the middle can't do anything, can't play their own goddamn position, or are injured. So if anything I'm changing the middle based on the profile you want to get. Because clearly, I mean, it could be a guy like Nunez who's better than Nunez. It could be a guy like Jota who stays healthier than Jota. We really don't know what slot wants out of that 9 or center forward, whatever we're gonna call it. But I think that's the problem there. And instead of removing 80% of the team, I would rather go after the one that's the biggest glaring weakness. Because you can say, and we have freaking said here, don't get me pull up receipts over here, that we have said here that we are sorted at left wing. Like, we're done with left wing. We have Gakpo and Diaz. We're set. Like, why when the names were getting thrown out, it's like that dude. We were like, why do we need another left wing? We already have left wings. We've sorted it there. We never had a proper backup for Mo. And
Chiesa was the hypothetical.
But we never had a proper backup for Mo, like ever, like a right-sided winger and stuff like that. And we really don't have anybody in the middle. Like, take care of the middle. And if your left is still not that good, then address it. But I just feel like we have such a big glaring hole in the middle that if you fix that, it affects everything else. This is like selling your goalie because your back line sucks. Like, fix the back line, and then we'll see if the goalie still sucks, kind of a deal. You know what I mean? I just
no. I get what you mean, and my entire point was just if there is someone that is reasonably priced, right? That is reasonably priced, has a decent ceiling, and is in theory better end product, younger, I would go for him, right? But if there's none, I would keep Diaz. That's all I'm trying to say. If there is an upgrade to be made, I would go for it. But if there's none, okay, I'll keep Diaz gladly as my second choice.
An upgrade based on ceiling at this point.
Yeah,
that's why I'm saying that's fine and dandy. But I wouldn't expect anything next season if we're changing.
No. It's not like I'm not going for a guy from the academy, Tim. I'm talking about a player who can contribute right away. That can be
I mean, unless they're coming from the Premier League, like a guy like
Right.
Kudus or something like that.
Right.
Unless they're coming from the Premier League, you're getting, I don't think we're doing that. I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah,
you're going.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't
get
think we're
you.
going, and I wouldn't want it. Like, who does that? Go spend 70, 80 million on a guy to a position where you have a strength. That makes zero sense. This is what I'm not understanding. I know what you mean.
No. Yeah,
Like,
again.
if you can improve, you want to improve. I get
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But why would you improve on an area that's your strength where you have glaring holes everywhere else? Not everywhere else, but you have other glaring holes that you probably will have to spend the money on. So
Yeah, I get that.
Comes
I
to
get
the
that.
Premier League and just kicks off, especially like a young player coming from because the guy you're mentioning is probably more like a Gakpo kind of guy, right? Like you go get him for 20, 30 million from the Dutch league, Portuguese league, or something like that.
Right.
Unlikely that he's going to kick in right away.
Diaz kicked in.
Diaz kicked in when he came in January. Gakpo did too. I mean, they were not cheap buys though. I mean, Diaz wasn't a cheap buy either, right?
Right,
Wasn't
exactly.
Like 40, 50 or something like that when we got him. He didn't want to replace. I mean, that's my thing. So I don't think we're, because Diaz is playing for like nothing. If anything, if I was Diaz, I'd be like, hey, we got to redo this contract over here. These are like ridiculously low wages, like one of the lowest on the team kind of wages. So that's why I feel like, addressing the side that doesn't need help. 35 says Z. I actually thought it was like more because he came out of Porto, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he came out of Porto.
Usually, Porto fleeces people as much as possible. That's like their trade. But yeah, I mean, I'd rather spend the money where the need is really dire. And people are like, well, yeah, you need that too. But one, you can only spend so much money. We don't get like, city kind of a country backing. And I'm really worried about way too many changes. Because what we were afraid that would happen this year with the club to slot change, I think is going to happen next year, where there's an overhaul. There's going to be an overhaul either way. Because I think you're right. A lot of the guys you mentioned would probably be gone.
Yeah.
So that's an overhaul by itself. Why mess with what I would consider a pretty good thing that you have going on the left wing here?
Okay. Yeah. Listen, we could agree to disagree.
Right? Yeah, I mean, if she spent almost 80, and I hate to say it, I mean, I don't know how much we're going to get for him, but any center forward,
I would say 35.
Stuff.
I would say 30 to 35 for Nunez.
Oh, man. Like Arabs will take him for like 50, 60 or something
like that. No, I'm not counting the Arabs. I'm talking about reasonable.
Around here.
Yeah.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're talking like Isak and stuff like that. I mean, they're talking like, like 100 million, all that kind of stuff, unless you're like, you do something like, you give him Gomez and then like 60, 70 or something like that.
The thing is with Isak, I don't think we get him unless Mo leaves. That's
I don't. You're right. I don't think we get him either. I don't think so. I think there's way too many suitors to bump up his price to the point where we're like, we're not getting into this battle, kind of a deal. And here's the thing: like everybody says Isak, but again, I go back to we don't know what this guy really wants out of the center. Like, does he want somebody like that? Does he want like more like a Nunez? Does he want more of a Jota, like a Bobby-ish kind of a dude?
If you see the positions that our 9 takes, he likes someone who's decent on the ball. You see Jota dropping in a la Bobby sometimes to help out the midfield, but then at the same time, he'd also want someone who can hold up play. Like you see so many times when the ball is like fizzed towards Jota, he tries to hold back the defender and just fails miserably because he's so small. Like sometimes it's not his fault he's small. Like he's a big dark arts guy, but all the dark arts in the world can't save you if you're just smaller, right? If the dude is bigger and stronger and can like read what you're trying to do, you have no chance, which is why I feel like Jota had absolutely nothing on Marquinhos and his center back partner throughout the two legs.
Like, the person putting fear on Marquinhos was when Hakimi tried to go up, and it was more like Diaz on the left because that's how he got the yellow card too.
First leg, Yeah, first leg it was Nunez who won the knockdown.
Yes,
against Marquinhos.
but that's the problem with Nunez is like he
Yeah.
can't do that consistently. Like you
Right.
can't rely on him to do that. He does it once, everybody is like, "Here we go," and then you don't see it for 2 months. You see it again. We want it to happen so bad. I mean, if Nunez played for another team, we would just laugh every time that fan base got going.
Yeah.
Anytime he did something, it hasn't been consistent at all.
It's such a mystery with Nunez. He's such a big guy, but then his hold-up play is it's just a coin flip.
I mean, honestly, our best hold-up guy is Mo.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and he's a winger.
He's strong. I mean, he's really, really strong.
Yeah, and he's a winger. So listen, I don't know. Yeah. I feel like we should, in terms of striker profile, what do you think we should prioritize more? Someone who has more of that Jota-ish build, who's more like a fox in the box, or someone who's more physical, could hold up play?
I don't know what he wants. I get the sense that he would want more like a Jota type, since Jota was starting beginning of the season.
Right. So
is that because the alternative is Nunez? We don't know. You know what I mean? Exactly. Like we just don't know.
Yeah.
Is it because you need somebody who's tactically a lot smarter? I mean, they spent 70 on Højlund, and center forwards are expensive. You're gonna spend a lot of money, and I think maybe that's why finding a Bobby type guy, because those guys are not that expensive. If you can find a guy and you say that will work for our system, kind of a thing. But if you go, because there are so few of them, we actually had a clip come out of the Premier League panel show, because we were talking about this as a Premier League panel. We're going to try to do an academy where we just do nothing but big dudes like number 9. So we were talking about that and joking about it, because there's not a lot of those guys anymore. And is that because there's not a need anymore? Like, the old school, we were like a guy
Chris Wood
and stuff, but
it's still effective. Look at Chris Wood.
It is effective, but it's effective. I mean, would you want Chris Wood?
Oh no. I mean,
that's
like
you know what I
mean? Yeah. For a certain style, it's still effective. It's still decent in the modern game. But for us, I don't know. Like,
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want. I mean, I don't think the modern game wants that as much, and that's why there isn't a lot of them. Like, yes, Haaland gets goals, but I mean, what you just said about Jota, you can say about Haaland.
Oh yeah,
like what is he doing when he's not scoring? Because he's not doing anything.
Yeah, but then Haaland is the best like finisher.
And yes, he's exactly. Yeah, so I don't know. It's and I think this goes to. I mean, Alan has a point over there. I think he just wants a guy who is tactically. I think that's like one of the biggest weakness that Nunez has. I think he's weak, very weak, like tactically as well. So I don't know. I just feel like, the day after, if we win, I hope to God we win this final, because then the rest of the team will be sold too. Half the team was sold yesterday. After Sunday, everybody will sell the other team. We'll have a brand new team.
Right, you're gonna hear me include Gakpo as well. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, like
I'm kidding.
The whole front line, Tim.
I'm kidding. Again, for the people who are gonna say I like Diaz, like I hope he keeps going. The thing, I'm just putting it out there.
No, I mean, look, go back and look at the highlights of the season. I guarantee you're going to see a lot of Diaz as well as. I mean, you're going to see a lot of Gakpo. You're going to see a lot of Diaz. They're both left wingers, so hang on to your left wingers and focus on what sucks, which is the middle, like what has not been producing, because you are not going to see a lot of highlights from goals from the guy playing in the middle, unless that guy was Diaz at the time. So that's what I think the biggest concern is, and I think that's what they'll address in the offseason is the middle there. I just worry about too many changes. I guess that's my thing.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the final, though. Like, how are you feeling in terms of, like, coming in? Because obviously, emotions running high. Literally, we just got into a cross match for Diaz. But then, obviously, after the dust has settled, everyone's been worried about the final, right?
Yeah, like, I don't know, really. I mean, the whole, like, overtime and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, they played the day before, and now they get 5 days. 5 days is a lot of rest for these guys. If Konate can go... Doesn't sound like Trent is. So you're going to have Kwanzaa as the right back. The one thing, I watched their game the other day, is Livramento on the left is a pretty brutal concept. Because what's that kid's name? Hall? What's his name? They're like, and they were one of their best players this year. Their left back is out. So that side we were talking about on the panel yesterday, that left side was their strength. What the heck is their like kid's name? I think it is Hall. Maybe it's not. Somebody chime in over here in the audience and let me know. But, and then Gordon in front of him. That side was pretty deadly. It's not going to be as much. So having Kwanzaa there, who actually did pretty well.
Oh yeah.
As big of a drop off. Mm-hmm. I think we win this. I mean, because I think they know this is really the last game of the season. I think for both teams, for us more than them, it's really the last game of the season.
Yeah,
that, like matters. Yeah. So, and I would think it's pathetic to say, but people will be bummed if we only win the Premier League. And this is how freaking it sounds pathetic to say, but people will be bummed. Whereas, I don't know, 4 months ago, if I said, which one you want, one trophy, which one do you want?
Right.
We all say Premier League.
Would you be bummed?
I would be bummed only because it's the same thing as we did. We're like, oh, the quads, oh, the triple, oh, the double, oh, we won one kind of a thing. But this time, the one you win is not the
was the most important one. Yeah.
I
wouldn't be bummed.
The funny thing is, it won't be as satisfying because we're finishing it so early. Oh, easy there. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't. I think it's more satisfying somehow, when more stressful too. But when it's a tight race, it doesn't feel like a race.
Yeah.
It almost felt like, well, we won it anyway, kind of a thing, which we didn't. We played well, we won our games. I mean, everybody's trying to get a different narrative, but that I feel like feels different.
I'm for me, whatever, because we've been involved in so many tight races where we could use a break at one point, and this was the break. And you can easily not take advantage of a break, right? Like 2 years ago, City wasn't City. And Arsenal had a very healthy lead heading into the final stretch of the season, and they gave it up. So, and they didn't have the injury excuse then. They just bottled it, right? So, you could easily do that, and we're not doing that. So, this is why I'm like, even if we don't win the League Cup final and we just win the league, I would be extremely more than content. I would forget everything that happened this week when the celebration comes in, and I will just right.
It just will be like a very weird end to the season, and I'd be afraid, having seen this fan base, especially if we don't win the final. I think if we win the final, it's a lot different end to the season.
Fair.
Whereas if you do not win that final, we're like, okay, I guess we just win the Premier League. Is what everybody's gonna do, and it's gonna piss me off. But I do think we win this, though. I
think so too.
Reacts differently. In the past, I'd be a bit more worried about the carryover. I'm not as worried for some reason. But, I mean, you look at Newcastle, they're like, this is their thing too. Like, this is their rare chance to win a trophy over there. I just like seeing Trippier on one side, Livramento on the other side. I think, we can get goals on them.
Yeah. Gordon being out is big.
Yes.
Even before Trent got injured. Like, we have a center back playing right back. Even before Trent got injured, Gordon being out was great for us.
Joe Linton is back, which is the only the bummer compared to our league game. You're not gonna have Gordon, but they're going to have Joe Linton out there. So that's not a big fan of that, because that dude is a beast in midfield, like physically abusive, if you will. But I don't know. They get 5 days rest, even though I realize they played overtime and stuff like that. But they get 5 days rest in between games. They played the day before, so
McAllister being subbed early is big. He's I think tit for tat.
He's the key man. I mean,
he's the key guy. So if he's healthy, no matter what state Gravenberch is in, if McAllister is there to help him out, I feel confident, right? If that makes sense. I mean, obviously we're assuming he goes pretty much the same 11, right? Like, would maybe Kelleher in goal?
Same 11. It's not like you saw Gakpo and said, like you would start him. No, I don't think he's ready to start yet. Probably. Right?
No, I would start Diaz actually. When you threw that jab in, because
so
you mentioned
start in the middle.
listen, it's like choosing between to either drown myself or burn myself to death at this point. So I'd still go Jota.
I think so too. I
Yeah,
think he
just
starts
yeah.
the same 11. I mean, I
Mhm.
think he says it's not like we played bad, and I
Yeah.
don't think we did. Like people are making it sound. I think people are like thinking of the first game. I think they should have won the first game. We
Yeah.
should have won the second game, and this is why football is weird because it went out totally the other way around. We had no business winning the first game, and I don't think they should have won the game yesterday. That was a tie at best. But I think people are taking it like as two games, 180 minutes, and saying we played poorly. But I don't think like I look at that game yesterday. I don't think that's a very poorly played
Yeah.
game.
Second half, PSG barely got a touch of the ball. They
Yeah,
were pinned in, and Kwanzaa scores there. Salah's goal goes in. Like we win handsomely, probably 3-1. Right? Like in terms of, it's kind of like the Forest game and the first leg against Spurs in the League Cup final. We lost, but then it's like a loss where that we created chances.
yes.
It would be worse if like we lost and we didn't create anything at all. So it might just me be coping or whatever, but it is what it
But if
is.
he's putting Nunes in the middle, I don't know, man. I mean, especially like he missed the penalty and stuff too. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
people harping on him for. I'm telling you, people who harp on players who miss penalties are the scum of the earth. I mean, that's don't even talk to me if that's like what you're going to do and like go after people. And it's not even like even if they sky it, I can't find a reason to go after a player who missed that penalty. It's not like what are you bitching about? Efforts? Like he didn't want to score it, like he didn't give it his all. Shut the hell up. I mean, shit happens. I mean, if you're ever taking a penalty, it is a crapshoot. There's a guy in there jumping around like crazy. He can go any freaking which way. And yeah, I mean, yeah, you can take some penalties where they're impossible to save because you're so goddamn close. But it just freaking happens. Even Aaron is impressed with the performance yesterday. I mean, I thought we played well, and that's why I don't understand the over-the-top reaction because I thought we played well. I don't want to say extremely well or anything like that, but I thought we played well enough to advance. It didn't happen. Went to overtime. That's when the subs could not really do anything. So you hang on for dear life, and then at the end,
It's a
penalty.
coin flip. Yeah, it's a coin flip.
So, yeah, I mean that's the thing. Even if he skies it, it just freaking happens, man. I mean, Mo has missed penalties. Any player missed penalties. The only thing, and I don't know, I'll ask you that. Like the biggest complaint is, we subbed out some guys that would take penalties.
Yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, if you don't sub those guys out, I mean, you sub him thinking Elliot is going to come in with fresh legs and do the same job.
Right.
We're kind of doing like a hindsight thing. We're saying like, well, I mean, they could have done any worse. Yeah, but maybe would not go to penalty kicks because they would be so tired.
That's what Slot was banking on. We'd win it in extra time with those subs doing like for like, and unfortunately it's a gamble that didn't pay off. And the moment it went to penalties, I like again in hindsight, but then I knew it. Only Mo being our regular penalty taker, I knew we were at a massive disadvantage. The fact that we were doing it at the Anfield Road end as well, I was like, no, this isn't going anywhere, right? Like this isn't going our way at all. I was like, yeah, this is, and then the commentator mentioned Ali's record, so yeah. Again, like you mentioned, it was. I feel like in terms of like the grand scheme of things, the tie just balanced itself out. Like we shouldn't have won the first leg. We won second leg. We probably should have won. We lost. So the football gods decided, you know what? Let's just flip a coin and see who wins. And that's what they did. They flipped a coin, penalties, we lost. And that's how it is.
This is now you're gonna get me going, Cersei. I just calmed down. Okay, who was going to take penalties? This is what I want to know from people. Nunes and Jones should not have taken penalties. Who did you guys want to take the penalties?
To be fair, Tim, I probably would have had Virgil over Jones.
I mean, he might have been 4 or 5.
Right. Yeah, but then other than
that, get to 4 or 5.
Yeah, we didn't get to 4 or 5, but then I would have had him before Jones. And then Nunez I would have had to take. He's a striker, for God's sake.
He should, striker.
Yeah, I mean, he should take that penalty. Yeah.
Okay, this is who's left on the pitch, right? Mm-hmm. This is hold on. See, you guys got me going now. God, man.
Bring that up because my first 3, right, would have been the same, right? Salah, Nunez, and then Van Dijk. Probably Jones next and Elliott. That probably would have been my first.
Didn't Van Dijk take the 6th or 7th penalty back when we went like
he took
all the way to the goalies?
He took the
He
third
was after the first 5, wasn't he?
He took the third, man.
Did he? When we won that one?
Yeah. It
Kepa,
was
like Kepa is showing the corner and he goes to that corner.
Yeah, it was Milner, Fabinho, Van Dijk, Trent, Salah. I remember watching that. Yeah.
Okay, so this is who's left on the pitch.
Yeah.
Ali, he can score a goal, but he's not gonna take it. Van Dijk, and like I say, he could have been 4 or 5. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Robertson, do you want Robertson over Nunez? You don't.
No.
Do you want Kwanzaa over Nunez? You don't. Do you want Endo over Nunez? Which I've never seen Endo take penalties. So, I mean, Aaron says he's not bad. I've never seen him take a penalty, so I don't know one way or the other. Elliott, do you want Elliott taking the penalty over Nunez?
No, he's in the 5, but not before Nunez for me.
Okay. Who else is left? I mean, Mo already took it. Yeah. Gakpo, I would think he was 4 or 5. I think it was Van Dijk and Gakpo in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand who else is left? Harvey, Kwanzaa, Endo. Yeah, who's left? There's nobody left.
It would be Mo, Nunez, Virgil, Gakpo, Jones / Elliott for me. My first 5.
Yeah, so like the other ones, Elliott's over, and here's another thing. I mean, I don't know. He's your striker, man. I mean, it's just
he has to score that.
And it's not like he took a bad penalty. I mean, it was just saved. Like we were one thing. Like the first penalty, who was that? Vitinha or somebody took.
Yes.
I thought he saved that.
Yeah.
I thought he saved that. But he had taken a step in the wrong direction already.
Gravenberch was gassed, my friend, which is why I'm not putting him there.
Yeah, I don't know. His shot would not make it to the goal, probably. He looked
right.
He's like a 4-year-old kicking it, like he just rolled a little bit. Yeah, I mean, like I say,
Nunez has taken pens for Uruguay as well.
Here now, but there's really, I mean, I think it was natural for Nunez, your striker, to take the penalty.
And Nunez has taken pens for Uruguay as well. To that
he's
point,
taken pens for us, I guess.
Yeah, he's taken 2. I think he scored 1, missed 1. So
yeah, not the best ratio, I guess. But I mean,
but then he's your like you mentioned, he's your striker. You have to have him take. I don't know, like that's just my opinion. So
does he take them for Uruguay? You said.
Regular
penalty taker.
I'm not sure if he's the regular one, but I've seen him take some. So.
And here's another thing, like so he says Torres didn't like taking pens. I mean, I don't think it's a fun job, first of all. But here's another thing, like we don't know if there were players over there who said, who didn't look confident, and that's why they didn't get picked and stuff. I don't know, but the guy steps up to it. Kudos to him, and he missed. But I feel like there's so much hindsight managing going on of all things involved. I mean, penalties is probably the worst one, I feel like, because your striker missed it. So I mean, I don't know, like that. I just asked you guys who you want taking it instead, and you guys are telling me freaking Ali, because Nunez missed. I mean, you're not having Robertson, Kwanzaa, all these guys taking it. So who is going to take? Somebody's going to freaking take it. I mean, you could argue. The only argument I think that can be made is what we were talking about earlier. You could have, said, okay, this could go to penalties, so I can't take Mac off. I'll take Gravenberch off.
Right. Yeah.
That was I can understand that, and I would be semi on board with that. They know better in terms of how many minutes everybody has, aside from our eye test. But I can understand that, holding that in the back of your head and said, you know what, I'm going to sub for Gravenberch, not McAllister, because I might need McAllister for penalties. I can understand that, but given the people who are left on the pitch, I don't understand the criticism of having Nunez and Jones take penalties.
Yeah. I don't disagree. Like I mentioned, my only issue was the order. Jones probably would have been lower for me.
I can see that. I don't know, that's like a huge, like which way you go, right? Like the best guy at the end, or like the first. I thought he did good with having Mo start.
Yeah.
Like getting that and stuff. I thought that was smart and all that. But yeah, I mean, we missed some penalties. It does happen. But not all was bad yesterday, my friends, because we had a birthday yesterday. 7 years
Wow,
since
7
our
years.
very first
Jeez.
article hits I gotta go and find our birthday for the YouTube channel for American Scotcher TV. I don't know when that's somewhere in June. I'm pretty sure about that. But that's more like we're like a summer baby for American Scotcher TV. But for the articles, 7 years yesterday since our very first.
Nice.
I think it's won by John Kaufman. Back in the day, he was one of the OGs at the time that I started the site with, along with Hillary, who should be like joining us, trying to find a scheduling so she can like hop on one of these mornings, hopefully as well. But let's see. I'll do some housework over here. This is the new schedule as of this week, and then after the international break or during the international break, we'll be announcing a bunch of new stuff as well. Some new stuff coming through for the Premier League, where we thinking of actually having a totally separate Premier League channel as well, with the guys from the panel adding some more content there. And let me tease this over here. Might have a show where we have a guy from Liverpool and a guy from United, and they're bros. So yeah, so we're thinking of doing that. We were talking about this with my brother for a while. When we
Is
get,
this gonna be under American Scouser or under the new channel?
it's probably going to be under the new channel. We're
Hmm.
going to try to put some of our Premier League content there. The shows that are currently on American Scouser TV will stay here, so they're not going anywhere. But we will probably have more additional panel shows, additional Premier League shows, our fantasy show and stuff like that. Probably will be on the new channel. That way,
Hmm.
we can kind of keep this more Liverpool based, but still get to talk about other stuff as well, which I know we need a break from. People need to break from sometimes, so that otherwise I can only bear so much about. I can't go for like 3 months just talking about who we're gonna sell over here over the next 2 weeks. Let me do this as well. I did it on the Monday podcast for this fundraiser. I want to pass the word again. There's a GoFundMe going on. It's someone who's a member of the U.S. fan group, which unfortunately right now is a shit show. So if you're not in it, don't get in there. If you're in it, try to get out. I don't know.
I am not in it.
I can't get out of it. But
I am not in it.
yeah, and you're a happier man because of it. Trust me,
Yeah.
Because that's what really got me going. Like people calling for a slot out and stuff like that. So a photo of you know what? I gotta lose some weight. I was watching some old footage and I was like, man, I gotta go on this diet over here because I was a lot thinner. And well, I don't think I had this in the beginning, a lot more because I don't know. I gotta go back and look at those. Yeah, and that will be interesting. We were talking about doing it for a while, but let me talk about the fundraiser real quick. Member of the U.S. fan group, they did just lose their son, and actually, I was talking to the gentleman, and they lost their niece a few years back, like 2 years ago, I think he said, and they're actually in the process of setting up a nonprofit in her name. And meanwhile, like this just happened, like a tragic accident, and they lost their son, and he's in his teens and stuff like that. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I can't even imagine. As a dad, I can imagine. I know we have a lot of people in the audience who are dads. I'm sure you guys can imagine it either. You'll be a dad, and when you're a dad, you won't be able to imagine it either. So yeah, it's so whatever you guys can. I put the links on both Facebook and YouTube over there. So go ahead and hit the link. $1, $5, $100, whatever. I mean, they have been able to, and when you collect money for a cause like this, it's not really helping ease the pain. It's more taking away the financial burden side of things. So that's you
Which
only have
can
one.
which can ease the pain at times. A
Yeah,
little bit, at least a little bit, right?
yeah. I mean, at least you're just dealing with that pain and not other things at the same time. So yeah, the link is on YouTube and on
Mhm.
Facebook as well if you're watching us live over there. So go ahead and take care of that. And remember, it should be a reminder there's more important things than Nunez missing a goddamn penalty. So, but that'll be it for us today. What are we you working today, or what are we doing over here?
Oh yeah, I'm working, but then
Yeah, kind of working. Okay.
kind of working. Like this is my lone like work from home day, so it's also my lone rest day, bar
Do
the
you have a
weekend.
remedy, like a John remedy for hangovers that you can
Uh,
share with the crowd? Clearly, it hasn't worked for you this morning, but
No, it
like
hasn't. But
because you're gonna get work done. No, not during the show, but before the show, you said you couldn't
yeah,
get
I
work
was
done.
barely getting any work done. Just a lot of water. Probably have my order Philly cheese from my favorite place nearby. That helps a lot with the hangover. So I love me a good Philly cheese, man. Like, you can't go wrong with that. Like, I'm already looking forward to it right now. Just Philly cheese with fries.
Grease makes it makes it go away, soaks it up, as they
Yeah.
say. Yeah. Well, yeah. The boys will be back tomorrow night. That's the next in the programming. So they will be all over it. I can't imagine how many people they will sell tomorrow. Kazi was already flipping and flopping. First thing he did this morning is post about contracts. So we're back to the default settings of bashing anything and everything in our site over there. So, but do tune in for that. 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern, and I will be back Friday morning with hopefully Kazi and Anand. If
It's gonna be
Anand can make
interesting.
it, because he's really struggling with Ramadan. The fasting thing is really getting to him. But have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.